For my research project, I did how knowing my love language and the love languages of my closest relationship partners can help me become a more effective communicator within my interpersonal relationships. And I chose this because when we were discovering our love languages in a previous chapter and how much it can impact someone's personality, I wanted to further explore and understand how knowing mine and other people's could help communication. So while researching many different project ideas, the one that stuck with me more than others is this, because I find it fascinating how knowing your love language can determine different personality traits and ultimately determine why you act the way you do in your relationships. And so for this experiment, I will have the people closest to me take the love language test and then send me their results, and I will compare them to mine and analyze those and then discuss how that can be used to help effectively communicate with that person. The first source that I used is Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages. And in this book, it discusses how love plays a central role in someone's life, and it ultimately makes the world go round. So furthermore, Gary Chapman discussed that psychologists have concluded that the need to feel loved is primarily a human emotional need. And because of this, it is highly important to be able to identify the way to love each other and how you should love a specific person versus someone else. And although this does not specifically state that love languages are needed for this, it is one of the most important aspects in human life. He also continues by stating that we feel secure when we are assured that our mate accepts us and wants us and is committed to our well-being. So what other way to do this than know your love language and know the other person's love language? The next source that I used is from the National Library of Medicine, and it explains how responding to partners' love languages and their love language preferences can boost satisfaction in romantic relationships. And it continues by explaining how studies have also found that people with higher levels of empathy are better in detecting their partner's needs and providing them with higher quality advice and instrumental support. So this relates to knowing love languages because it explains how higher levels of empathy can help provide better communication skills overall. And by knowing the needs of one another, you can do this. And the final article that I took information from is called The Distribution of Chapman's Love Languages in Couples. And this is from the American Psychological Association. And it explains that several contributions to an emerging literature on the love languages and the results that provide the foundation for further research, particularly on how Chapman's model contributes to understanding relationships between intimate relationships, self-development, and self-expansion. It continues by saying that we must be willing to learn our partner's primary love language, and if we are to become effective communicators of love, then we must do this. This connects to my research question by portraying the idea that if we do not know each other's love languages, then we will never fully be effective communicators, which is critical in a relationship. For this project, my ultimate goal is to not only further understand my love language, but also learn about the people closest to me, and I'm hoping to gain the necessary knowledge to increase my interpersonal communication skills within these relationships after finding out their love languages and comparing them to my own. Another goal of this project was to ultimately learn more about the people that I hold closest to me and closest to my heart, and understand why they may have certain mannerisms compared to others within relationships. For the timeline of this plan, I will have the 4 people closest to me take the 5 love languages quiz and send me their results. For the people that I chose a family member and my boyfriend and 2 of my closest friends, a guy and a girl. And after they send me their results, I will create a chart comparing my love languages to theirs and explaining how these different love languages provided from each of them will help my interpersonal relationships with them. And in order to evaluate success within this, I think it will be successful if I just get the results and am able to compare them on how this will help my interpersonal communication and further my relationships. For my findings first, my love language is quality time. And what this is simply being there for the person, whether that's the little things like putting your phone down while talking or setting aside time to spend with them. It makes someone feel loved. And knowing my own love language can help enhance my interpersonal communication because it ensures that I know what I need and ultimately why I need it. And it can also provide insight into why I might dislike certain things as well. And for the first relationship I compared it to, it was my friend Mark, and he has the same love language that I do. So because this is a friendship, the way I can enhance communication between Mark and I, after learning that we have the same love language, is to focus heavily on the quality time spent with him. Next was my friend Haley, and her love language is words of affirmation. So this can be used to enhance my interpersonal communication and relationship with her because I know that she needs communication all the time and she needs to be affirmed, and I need to explain to her with words why she's important and like why I value this relationship because that's what means the most to her. Next was my cousin India, and she has the same love language as Mark and I, which is quality time. So knowing India's love language and it being the same as mine explains why we are so similar. And the way that interpersonal communication can be enhanced after knowing this is to continue to treat her the way I want people to treat me. And finally, my boyfriend Noah's love language is physical touch. So knowing that this is his love language can be used to enhance interpersonal communication because I can provide the needed attributes to this relationship that make him feel the most loved. After completing this experiment, I learned that first of all, a lot of people that I'm the closest to have the same love language that I do. And this is very interesting because I know why we have certain similarities now and share some of the same mannerisms in regard to our relationships. And knowing these insights will help me become ultimately a more effective communicator because I truly understand how to individually connect with each person, and I know what they prefer to have the best interpersonal communication possible. These results will also help me with this because it will have me thinking further about other people in my life that were not included in these findings and try to realize why they might prefer certain things over others. And by improving my knowledge on the 5 love languages with my own research and learning about what experts have to say about it, it has and will affect my current and future relationships because I will be able to identify characteristics from each love language in people and acknowledge why everyone may act differently when communicating. It will guide my future choices by helping me learn about other people and why they are fond of specific actions. And because love languages are centered around one individual and their liking, the results could not be unexpected because you cannot expect someone else's love language without having them just take the test on their own. So this process was pretty easy because I just had to wait for the results from my friends and family and then analyze them. But my next step in improving this content area and skill is to do a more in-depth research on not only love languages, but maybe other topics like personality types or family background, maybe environmental factors that could contribute to why people are the way they are. But as a result of this experiment, I'm overall pretty pleased with my results because it helped me gain an interesting insight into why the people closest to me value certain aspects of a relationship over others. And love languages are very valuable to recognize in view of the fact that everyone is different than other people. So it's just interesting to learn why they are different than I am or why I am different than them. But this project will ultimately help me become a more effective communicator in the future because I will always reflect and look back to this when meeting new people and not be so quick to judge on why they like something that I definitely don't like or vice versa, but just to appreciate everybody's individual values and worths. But overall, it was a pretty interesting project and can't wait to hear about your guys's.